Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is November the 21st, 2025. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Friday to ya. Hopefully this episode finds you in a good place with good energy, whether you're listening to this on a Friday or a Monday, whatever day it is. As for me, my day was good. It was up, it was down, it was all around, but it was a Friday. It was a peak Friday. So let's just start from the top. We wake up, we, grab what you put a little makeup. No, but we get up, we go to work. Work was hectic from top to bottom. At least it was busy from top to bottom. We'll say that. Maybe hectic's not quite the right word, but the energy just kind of felt hectic at moments, especially for a Friday. Usually our Fridays are our slowest day of the week. But for some reason, I think just because of the buggy situation, just cardboard everywhere, people were kind of at each other's throats, pointing fingers. So there's a bit of trickle down there. But that being said, the day was started off pretty steady. I was having some issues. I was trying to get a bill paid, like my utilities, and I've been having issues with it, like trying to pay online. So I was trying to pay via my phone. And as I'm having this issue, I'm mashing the one button on my phone. I look up and it's my supervisor. He's like, "Hey, bud," and I just immediately spring into this defensive mode, and I'm like, "Look, hey, sorry, I'm trying to pay a bill. It's really important. That's why I'm on my phone." And he goes, "Oh, it's okay. It's no, don't worries." I feel like I sneer at him, and I'm just not nigga. He's like, is everything good? How are things? And I'm like, "Yeah, it's good." Yeah, and he's like, "Happy Friday," and I'm like, "Yeah, happy Friday." He's like, "Do you need anything?" Da da da. Like, "No, I'm fine." I'm trying to be as dismissive as possible, defensive. I just don't want to talk to this guy anymore. It's chopped. No, thank you. Do you have anything you need to tell me? No, you're trying to make small talk? Why? Just keep it moving. So that was I think hour one of my job. So that was where I think maybe the hectic energy kind of just starts. And I'm kind of just looking over my shoulder all day as I'm, grinding away. But overall, the day did go smoothly. I have a cool moment with one of my secondaries or my secondary, and it was we're listening to music, we're talking about it, and at one point he goes, "Hey, what do you want to listen to?" And I go, "Oh, I don't know." I never like this question. Anytime a friend wants to pass me the aux, I'm always very hesitant because I just feel like my music preferences fuck up a vibe. Just because I always feel like I get it wrong. I tend to like a lot of things, like a lot of poppy music or just weird music. So I don't want to play something people to go, ugh, ugh, and it's okay, well, thanks, I guess. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to embarrass myself. But, I was like, all right, let's play. And I picked Oh Superman by Laurie Anderson. I just thought it was we had just talked about it. I had told him, I think you would really like this because he likes all kinds of music. He likes experimental music. And this is older experimental music. It's very fun. It's very sound driven. I don't know, it sounds stupid, but I feel like if you listen to Laurie Anderson, you know what I'm talking about here. But he goes, "Okay, cool," and he lets me play that. And then we started talking about jazz. So he puts on some jazz and he starts trying to put me on some stuff. I was like, all right, this is cool. So that was a nice, refreshing moment. But yeah, overall, the day gets done. Of course, we fill up the crusher. And, after that, it is off to the gym. Actually, record skip. It was not time to go to the gym. My stomach was not feeling the greatest. So I'm let's go ahead and take a pit stop at home. And then we'll go to the gym. So I go, and then, of course, the rain picks up. I say, of course, I don't know. It's just been a rainy week. It's been very cloudy with a chance of meatballs, you know what I mean? And I guess the meatballs decided to roll on down today. So I mean, and it was like a cold rain. So I'm glad that at least it didn't rain enough during the day, so it wasn't raining in the compactor. That was nice. That was a W. But just for the rest of the night, I was just getting like just the cold rain soak, and I was like, I don't like this. I guess it really wasn't too bad. It was only like maybe once I got to the gym. But yeah, so we get home, take a quick reconnoiter, then go to the gym. Gym was not too busy, so that was good. And I was able to get in a full workout, full heavy lift. Loved that. So it was nice to be back at like full bore, full pace. That was good. And then post that, we're back home. So yeah, it's a bit later. Most likely you're not listening to this on a Friday. My bad, mea culpa. But hopefully, you had a good one as well. But yeah, I'm very excited to just not be working for the next 2 days. As much as I know I need the money, as much as I'm broke as fuck, I just don't want to be in that building, at least for a couple of days. I want to see my friends. So yeah, I'm excited to hopefully do that. Knock on some wood. Anyway, let's go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into some news. Lots to cover. I feel like we have a good amount of news already for the weekend. I don't have everything here, but I think we're in for lots to yap about. Ooh. Yummy, yummy. Okie dokie. Artichoke. All right. Our first story comes from NBC News. Trump urges Ukraine to accept peace plan by Thanksgiving after Zelensky warns that Kyiv risks losing U.S. support. President Donald Trump said Friday that he wants Ukraine to accept a new peace deal by Thanksgiving after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned the deal was forcing his country to choose between its dignity and a key partner. The White House wants Kyiv to sign off on a framework to end the war in Ukraine based upon the U.S.-crafted 28-point peace plan by Thursday, according to 3 U.S. officials. So this sounds awfully a lot like the, I believe, 20 or 20-plus point peace plan that the Trump administration rolled out for Israel and Gaza. Feels like they kind of want to put the same kind of play out here, which kind of implies that maybe there's a little bit more pressure, a little bit more of a push. The fact that he's saying, hey, by Thanksgiving. I think the biggest problem with this is that it's a very stinky deal for Ukraine. 3 highlighted points, or at least takeaways that I've kind of gathered from, listening to the news. Not so much in this article or whatever, but one is they're going to have to drastically reduce their military. 2, they're going to have to cede territory, cede land to Russia, some of which Russia hasn't fully controlled. And then, to kind of top that all off, that is, some of these positions are, if let's say Russia wants to break this contract, which is only made of paper, then they're going to be able to just like almost use this whole situation as like a save point, and then just come in from those angles, from those areas, and take more land in the future. So like the deal is just overall not great for Ukraine, but also it's putting Ukraine in a hard place because essentially Trump is saying, I mean, hey, you can go it alone. I already told you about, the card you got in your hand. Like he's just kind of referring back to that situation, which kind of, once again, infers that he's trying to say, look, I'm on your side, but I'm hearing what Moscow's saying. I'm hearing what the Kremlin is saying, and I don't hate it. I kind of don't care. I kind of just want this wrapped up, is more or less what Trump is saying. And I think, at least from Europe, everyone's booing or not happy about it. I haven't heard anyone make like a big stink as of yet about this peace plan, but I'm sure they're not enjoying it. I'm sure they're not like it. No one has bumper stickered it. So most likely, but at the same time, I guess the point I really wanted to make from the Europe end is that they don't have much to really give, I feel like. I mean, they're saying, hey, we're all in. UK said this. I don't know, Poland, insert European country, France. But there's only so much that they're going to be able to keep giving at this point, especially if the U.S. is saying, hey, we're done. Like, no more lethal aid, no more military intelligence, like we're backing off. If it gets to that point, then that's a huge, huge loss for Ukraine. So this is really a defining moment of like, are you going to accept this? I guess from the Russian end, they're kind of saying, hey, there's things about this that we don't like, and we're not 100% on it. Like, this is just kind of the start to a peace settlement. So, I mean, we'll see if this is like a real thing. It's another reason why I kind of don't want to get too in the weeds about this, go into the details. This is all subject to change, and really, we don't even know if Ukraine is fully on board with this. It doesn't sound like they are. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, we could just read more, but I kind of want to just kind of veer it up. There's some other stories I really want to dig more into, actually. So, yeah, let's go ahead and continue. Let's move along. From Reuters, attacks in Nigeria. What's behind the latest kidnappings, church raid? So we initially covered, I want to say it was Monday, top of the week, about Nigeria, about some kidnappings from a school. Well, there have been two more stories that are related or, running in the same vein. So I wanted to kind of just do a bit of a, recap update from Nigeria. So Nigeria has grabbed global headlines again following a spat of attacks by gunmen involving the kidnappings of dozens of students from two schools and a deadly assault on a church service. This week's incidents have applied more pressure on the Nigerian government following U.S. President Donald Trump's threats of military action over the alleged persecution of Christians in the West African nation. That is also something we've talked about previously. Let's see here. On Monday, armed men stormed a predominantly Muslim girls' school in northwest Kebbi State, and seized 25 students. It was the first mass school kidnapping since March of 2024 abduction of over 200 students in northern Kaduna. Also on Monday, another armed gang abducted 64 people, including women and children, from their homes in Zamfara State, which borders Kebbi. On Tuesday, gunmen attacked the Christ Apostolic. I know I should be able to say that, but I can't. Church in central Kawara State during a service, killing 2 people and abducting 38 worshipers, according to a church official. Apostolic. It's apostolic. I was like, this is just a weird word to say out loud for me. I'm sorry. On Friday, gunmen kidnapped a number of students from St. Mary's Catholic School in Niger State. TV station Arise News reported that 52 students had been taken. Obviously these are all harrowing, very sad stories. Definitely want to come back if there's any more updates. Hopefully it's more positive news or just better updates on these 3 stories and not more kidnappings, more abductions, more killings. Just in regards to the quote unquote persecution of Christians thing, this kind of goes to counter what the Trump administration has been trying to gin up, saying it's like, see, look, like, well, you have this one church here. Yeah, but you also have 2 other stories of people. It's not related to actual religion here, where people are being, killed and or abducted in brutal, very scary, devastating, situations. So, granted, that's not going to be covered or interpreted that way by the Trump administration. If anything, they're only going to come and focus on this. Also, I think Hegseth is also did a little meet and greet or something. I don't know. I didn't really get into the weeds of that, but I obviously hate the spin the Trump administration is trying to, put out on this, while they are really not providing any aid or help in the situation, because that's what is, really needed here. It's like, hey, we don't need you to point a finger and, try to tell us how to, run our country. We need help. If you're going to offer that, then okay. But, let's not try to make this a Christian Muslim thing or whatever the fuck. Anyway, let's move on to our next story from ABC News. Actually, let me take a water break. I need it. I'm quite parched. Oh, all right, this is the one I really wanted to read out. As we've covered this story before, at least the front half. So finding out more details was like, whoa, okay. But judge dismisses charges against two people accused of ramming vehicle of federal agents conducting Chicago immigration sweeps. A federal judge on Thursday dismissed the indictment against two people accused last month of ambushing federal agents conducting an immigration sweep in Chicago, including a woman who was shot 5 times in the incident. U.S. District Judge Georgia Alexakis, what a fun name, dismissed the charges against Marimar Martinez and Anthony Ruiz. Ruiz? We're going to say Ruiz. After the Department of Justice abruptly requested her to do so. Alexakis dismissed the charges with prejudice, meaning the case cannot be brought back. The government filed a motion earlier Thursday asking the judge to dismiss the indictment against Martinez and Ruiz, who were involved in a collision with U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, or Border Protection, or CBP, agents in Chicago on October 4th. The incident set off street protests on Chicago's southwest side. Martinez's attorney, Christopher Parente, told ABC News on Thursday that he and his client are relieved by the government's decision. We appreciate the U.S. attorney being thoughtful in agreeing to dismiss this, Parente said. Martinez thanked the judge and everybody that supported me. I'm just grateful for everything, Martinez told reporters after the hearing. I'm just happy. I'm excited. Parente told reporters that Martinez didn't deserve to be shot and that they are going to work on getting her justice, but for now are thankful that prosecutors did the right thing. Martinez, 30, Ruiz, 21, were accused by the Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, of being part of a convoy of protesters in vehicles that converged on CBP, they switch the letters around sometimes. Okay, CPP agents and rammed their vehicles during what the DHS called an ambush. Ooh, I think they just typoed that. An October DHS statement said CBP agents opened fire on Martinez in self-defense, alleging she was armed with a semi-automatic weapon and was driving one of the vehicles that cornered and rammed CBP agents' vehicles. Let's see. Martinez was later found to have a handgun in her purse, for which she had a license and a concealed carry permit, according to Parente. Martinez was never charged with any weapons offense in connection with the vehicular incident. But I do remember when we were covering this that was a highlight. Like, oh, well, she was armed. She had a weapon. And it's like, yeah, but did she use it? Did she even brandish it? Like, and from what I was hearing, the details are fuzzy on that. Like, you don't know. I don't think so. Let's see. Martinez and Ruiz were both charged with assault with a deadly weapon and the alleged ramming attack. DHS officials initially described Martinez, Ruiz, and other protesters involved in the incident as domestic terrorists. During Thursday's hearing, Assistant U.S. Attorney Ronald DeWald consented to dismissing the case with prejudice. We are not seeking any technical advantage here, DeWald said. We do not intend to refile these charges. Which, hey, that is one of the more refreshing things I've heard this DOJ do, which is essentially come to their senses on a matter. But once again, this seems surprising for me, and we're going to get why they did this turnaround, or why I think they did. The decision by the DOJ to dismiss the charges against Martinez and Ruiz came a day after a federal judge in Chicago ordered the government to turn over to the defense additional text message by the CBP agents involved in the incident. During a November 5th court hearing, CBP agent Charles Exum, identified as the agent who shot Martinez, was questioned by Parente about text messages he sent to friends and family after the incident, in which he appeared to boast about his shooting skills. I fired 5 rounds and she had 7 holes. Put that in your book, boys. one of those messages read, or one of those messages said, ugh, it's just like, why are you bragging about this? You were supposed to be at the end of the day, and I know these aren't cops, but it's like, it is the same kind of service. You're supposed to be protecting, what, Americans or whatever? That's the border, right? You're supposed to be protecting all the people in the border. The goal is, once again, not for you to be RoboCop. In none of these situations, you never get to be a judge, jury, executioner, crackpot shot. Like, you don't, this isn't Death Sentence. You're not Charles Bronson, bro. You don't get to do this fucking hot dog shit. But it's like, no, in these high kinetic situations, they're like, well, I get to go fucking weapons free, and I'm gonna start blasting, because that's more or less what we'll get to the reading here. I'd like the story to actually just tell itself here, not my yapping ass. When pressed by Parente about the text messages during his testimony, Exum said, "I'm a firearms instructor, and I take pride in my shooting skills." Parente then asked, "So you're bragging that you shot her 5 times and get 7 holes, 5 shots. Are you literally bragging about this?" Exum responded, "I'm just saying, 5 shots, 7 holes." Federal prosecutors initially claimed that Exum fired rounds at Martinez in self-defense, saying Martinez drove toward him when he exited his vehicle after the collision. During an October 6th hearing, Parente claimed in court that he viewed a body camera video from one of the agents involved in the incident that he said appeared to show the federal vehicle swerve into Martinez's car. That is then a complete fucking lie from the statement, which is what we had to go off of. It's like, okay, so you're saying, well, you got rammed in by this convoy, they got belligerent, there was a gun involved. Like, you're leaving all these breadcrumbs for the audience to read this and see this and go, oh, okay, well, at least there's some plausible, justifiable reasons. You shouldn't do X, you shouldn't do Y. But at the end of the day, they are going to still hold on to that matter of like, well, you just shouldn't be following CBP. You shouldn't be following CBP. You shouldn't be following law enforcement like that. That's not what you should be doing, blah, 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 blah. Well, that doesn't mean that they get to ram into you. And then what happens after that? When I watched the video after the agent says, "Do something," it's an expletive, but I'm pretty sure it's "do something, bitch," I see the driver of this vehicle turn the vehicle to the left, which would be consistent with him running into Miss Martinez's vehicle. Okay, Parente said. And then seconds later, he jumps out and starts shooting. So once again, when this plays out the way that the evidence shows, this is not a good look. It is not a good look. You got ICE, you got CBP, whatever these motherfuckers want to call themselves. You know what I'm saying here. They are running around with, once again, just like fucking police, with a license to kill. You fuck with us, we'll fucking kill you. There's no difference here. And then he goes to brag about it to his fucking friends, his fucking homies. It's nothing to him. Which is crazy for him to do that because, yeah, they are definitely going to try to come for him in, like, civil court. They're trying to fucking, there's a lawsuit coming for sure, buddy. That's crazy. You're just, like, going to be like, whatever. Like, let me kiki with my friends over this shit, brother. But they're that relaxed about it. They're that cavalier. I mean, there's literally commercials saying join ICE today. They got, old ass fucking Superman. What was it? Dean Cain? I don't know what his fucking whack ass name is. His fucking old ass is doing the fucking obstacle course. He's in the van. Put him in the U-Haul. This shit's a fucking mess. Let's see here. Well, so we might as well finish it off. We're almost done. Parente also said Martinez is licensed to carry a concealed weapon and that the gun federal officials claim she had during the confrontation with CBP was never removed from her purse. And I think that's 2 strikes here. Just because, once again, for the peanut gallery, they always love saying, well, it's like, well, they had a gun, illegally, and they were waving it around. No, that didn't happen in any of these situations. You're talking about a person who's just like you, allowed to have this gun just like you. And you're going to, what, say she's in the wrong for having it? Like, come on, well, then go ahead and throw yours away. Like, once again, in this situation, it's a double-edged sword that cuts both ways. You know what I mean? Or shoots, I don't know, back and forth, whatever. Anyway, in response to an ABC News request for a comment about the motion to dismiss an Exum's text messages, DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin reiterated the agency's previous statements, again calling Martinez and Ruiz domestic terrorists. McLaughlin did not address Exum's text messages and referred ABC News to the Justice Department for information about the charges against Martinez and Ruiz. So yeah, they're big salty, but I think truly they pulled this fucking thing because there's already egg on your face once all the evidence comes out. And you can't defend this with, you just shouldn't be tailing them. It's just not enough. And it just wasn't worth the tomatoes. So they just said, you know what? On this one, we take the L. Just drop it. Let's not even bring it up. It's going to make it worse. So yeah, I mean, hey, for once, I'm going to say good call with the DOJ. Anyway, let's move on to our next subject. Oh man, I need more water for this one. Look, this week has been full of surprises. The Epstein files have really just been a whole whipsaw. Just so much has changed just post the unveiling of this shit. Like, who would have guessed? And it's happening in weird ways to weird people. I don't know. Anyway, let me sippy. From the Associated Press. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, former Trump loyalist. Wow, that just seems so strange. Time is moving so fast. Says she is resigning from Congress. Damn. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye. Anyway, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, a loyal supporter turned critic of President Donald Trump, who faced his political retribution if she sought re-election, said Friday she's resigning from Congress in January. Greene, in a more than 10-minute video posted online, explained her decision and said she didn't want her congressional district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president we all fought for, she said. Greene's resignation followed a public fallout with Trump in recent months as the congressman criticized him for his stance on files related to Jeffrey Epstein, along with foreign policy and healthcare. So yeah, I mean, she's been making a bit of pivots along the way, but I do like this article kind of goes into some of the inside baseball that maybe like put some insight onto why she kind of fractures the way she does, and then it all kind of culminates with her being one of the people saying, hey, yeah, I'm not going along with you on this Epstein file shit. It's going to make me look way too bad. I built a whole brand on saying we need to fucking get these files out to the people. Like, there's no way I'm going to fucking 180 on that. You got to fucking come off of it. So, I mean, I think it really stems from Trump saying, look, I love what you're doing. You're great. But, like, you got to get out of the House. We want you to go to the Senate. And she's like, well, I don't want to do that. I want to, like, I guess maybe she wanted to stay there. She thought maybe her chances were maybe best there. Then I think they wanted her to run for governor. She's like, no. I think, once again, she wanted to stay in the House. And I think essentially it just kind of goes, well, if you're not going to go where I want you to go, then it's kind of like, once again, you're not really with me. I'm not really trying to back this shit. And I think it just kind of gets worse and worse and worse. And I think she really gets kind of backed into a corner. And then this Epstein shit kind of highlights everything, the whole kit and caboodle. But also she's been on a bit of an apology tour lately. She has been changing stances. Like, I do get, like, I've been hearing people, kind of talk like, oh, is this a moderate arc for her? I mentioned that last time. I really did not think so. And I mean, I feel like this is a bit of justification in that regard. Not that it fucking matters. But once again, would I have guessed that she would have given up? Resigned? No way. I did not. So, I mean, this is going to trigger a special election. So, I mean, that's for Brian Kemp and all that to sort out. I guess we'll probably do some coverage of that. That'll happen, I guess in January or some shit. But regardless, whoever is going to be replacing her, I imagine, is going to just be another Trump loyalist, MAGA loyalist of some stripe. Potentially just as crazy, if not maybe even crazier. They always can surprise you. So, I mean, yeah, happy trails. I'm sure she will be some kind of talking head on Fox or probably a good old CNN. Maybe that's what the real pivot was for. She'll be a moderate there. I don't know. But I mean, truly cool that you said sorry on some stuff and maybe you are seeing the light. I highly doubt it. I think you're seeing the writing on the wall and you're getting out of there. But I mean, I do appreciate also, once again, not really running through the article really. I just want to kind of riff on it. They do go through some of the highlights, some of the blights. just some of the crazy shit, the conspiracies, wild shit that she, was spouting. And then obviously even some highlights with her and Joe Biden. So yeah, she won't be missed, at least not from, me at the newsstand. That's for fucking sure. Tomatoes all around. But yeah, by all means, feel free to read this article if you'd like to, I guess, commiserate, get more of the details. But I want to move on. I wanted to cram in this last story, and this is a read along, but like, once again, this week is just full of surprises, pleasant little surprises. And, we have a fracturing of one relationship and a budding of a whole another that I could have never, ever imagined. So yeah, let me go ahead and take my last break, and then we'll go ahead and close out with the Trump Mamdani meetup. Ooh-wee. Okay. Ooh-wee. From Trump News. Trump raves about Mamdani after White House meeting. I'll be out there cheering for him. I read that like, what the fuck? What am I? And I really was waiting for the hatchets to come out. Like, you're burying it. Like, I'm salivating. But let's just read through it, because this is a meet cute. This is a New York meet cute. Okay. Anyway, New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani met with President Trump at the White House on Friday and emerged from the closed-door Oval Office summit to rave reviews from none other than Trump himself. We had a meeting that actually surprised me, Trump told reporters afterward. We agreed on a lot more than I thought. I want him to do a great job and will help him do a great job. Both President Trump and we are very clear about our positions and our views, Mamdani added as he stood next to Trump behind the Resolute desk. And what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, but instead focused on the shared purpose we have in serving New Yorkers. Friday's friendly tone represented a sharp, sudden U-turn from how Mamdani and Trump previously talked about each other. Mamdani, a 34-year-old Democrat affiliated with Democratic Socialists of America, is New York's youngest leader in more than a century and arguably its most progressive. He has been fiercely critical of the president, calling himself Donald Trump's worst nightmare, and claiming in his November 5th victory speech that if anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him. Mamdani also referred to Trump, 79, as a despot in his remarks. In turn, the president has called his hometown's incoming mayor a 100% communist lunatic and alluded to false claims that Mamdani is in the country legally, while also threatening to arrest him if he ever pushes back against immigration and customs enforcement agents. Let's see. Mamdani is here legally. He was born in Uganda, moved to the U.S. at the age of 7, and became a naturalized American citizen in 2018. He is not a communist. Yeah, I did love seeing the New York Post, the red apple, right after Mamdani won. I was like, dude, that's actually sick as fuck. I actually want that on a fucking t-shirt, dude. Well, let's read further though. He looks terrible. His voice is grating. He's not very smart, Trump added in a Truth Social post, shortly after Mamdani declared victory in the Democratic primary in June. Elsewhere, the president has asserted that he is much better looking. He is a much better looking person than the mayor. Bro, what? Trump is so weird. He's so weird on looks. He's also the kind of guy who likes saying, yeah, that's an attractive man. He's just, He's a certain kind of zesty, or maybe he's just a certain kind of New Yorker. I don't know. I'm really trying to figure it out. I'm sculpting my own like conspiracy theory here about Trump, and I've been fielding it to my friends over time. But I mean, it's not just mine. I feel like I'm glomming on to it. But like I don't know, man. There's something about Trump. There's a lot of things about Trump. But on Friday, Trump in particular went out of his way to sound conciliatory. He said he would absolutely feel very comfortable living in Mamdani's New York, especially after the meeting. He's enthused about how the press has eaten this thing up and speculated about the reasons why. I think he's different, and that can be in a very positive way, the president said of the mayor-elect. Different than your typical guy who wins, becomes mayor, maybe and is nothing exciting. Trump expressed awe at Mamdani's campaign, saying he came out of nowhere, and it's amazing. It's an amazing thing that he did, and went out of his way to explain that he agrees with the mayor-elect on building more housing and lowering crime in the city. Some of his ideas really are some of the same ideas that I have, the president said. You and I, we're the same. Same. Different, but same. Trump even tried to shield Mamdani from the press. When a reporter asked Mamdani if he considered Trump a fascist, the president patted him on the arm and advised him to just say yes rather than try to explain. I don't mind, Trump assured him. When the word despot came up, Trump smiled and said, I've been called much worse. So it's not that insulting, actually. He's in such a rare mood, dude. What, like, flashback to the fucking MBS thing earlier in the week? He was, like, doing the same thing, but just in a more aggressive manner. Also, I didn't mention it in that moment, but, like, he called one of the reporters, like, one of the, the female reporters, a pig. He said, be quiet, pig, or something to that effect, piggy. I was like, dude, between that and the fucking death penalty stuff, which I should have given more details with, I kind of was just kind of shooting them around, but essentially there was like a little group of Democrats, military background, who came out and were like saying, hey, if there's an illegal order, if you're given illegal orders, you are, honor bound or whatever not to do them. You don't have to do them. You don't have, and essentially Trump was like, just angry posting saying like, that's seditious behavior. And then he like retweeted like some shit like, yeah, it is like the death penalty. You should get the death penalty. I think someone was like, yeah, if this happened during George Washington's time, you would be hanged. He would hang you. I'm like, are we doing like an Assassin's Creed Templar version of this shit, bro? What are you talking about? And Trump's like, yeah, dude, based. He's like, retruth. So Trump has just been on a roll. He went from like that kind of hostile energy, and then he's just like, I don't know, he just was like vibing with MBS for like, I guess the rest of the week. He's cooled out. He's like, yeah, no, bring over the commie. And now he's like, nah, actually, he's kind of cool. He's actually just in New York. I miss New York. Maybe I should take a visit back home. Maybe he's homesick. I don't know. Let's see. Where do we leave off? I've been called much worse, so it's not that insulting, actually. He even defended Mamdani's decision to travel by plane rather than train to Washington, D.C. If you flew, that's a lot quicker, Trump said. He's working very hard. I'll stick up for you. Asked if he agreed with Republican Representative Elise Stefanik of New York that Mamdani is a jihadist, Trump said no. I met with a man who is a very rational person, Trump said, who really wants to see New York be great again. I think he can bring it back. Will he bring it back greater than ever before? If he can, I'll be out there cheering for him. Dude, it's so weird when he goes grandpa mode. It almost makes me like want to smile. I hate it, but like it just knocks you off kilter, right? Like you expect him to just be hard, crazy. But then he hits you with, once again, he just hits you with happy grandpa. And it's like, bro, maybe he's getting some of Biden's, his little package. They don't talk about it anymore, but I mean, Biden was running on some chems. No, I mean, maybe I'm the first to say it, but maybe Trump got a good mix this week, or we fixed it by midweek and now he is locked in. He's just, and if so, give him more of this. I like this version of Trump. Like, maybe we can get somewhere with this guy. I mean, sans the whole Ukraine shit, hey, wrap this shit up by Thanksgiving. But also, I mean, hey, we've talked about my overlaps on that in the past, so I do get it. He is essentially just saying, hey man, he's the rabbit meme. He's like Zelensky, time's up. I'm sorry, that's morbid, that's cringe, but let's just keep reading. Let's get back on pace. Despite all their prior back and forth, Mamdani and Trump were never likely to spend Friday's meeting insulting each other. On Monday, Mamdani told reporters that he had requested the sit down in order to discuss policy, specifically the affordability crisis that is pushing so many New Yorkers out of the city. A Mamdani spokesperson later said that the two leaders would discuss public safety and economic security as well. Elsewhere, Mamdani has described such meetings as customary given the mutual reliance between New York and Washington, D.C., calling it a relationship that will be critical to the success of the city. For his part, Trump said on Sunday, "We want to see everything work out well for New York," adding in an interview with Fox News Radio on Friday that the two leaders would get along fine because they're looking for the same thing. The New York Times reported earlier this month that Trump had privately praised Mamdani as a talented politician, calling him a slick and good talker, citing two people who discussed the president's comments on the condition of anonymity. So, both Trump and Mamdani described their meeting as going according to plan. In a way, this doesn't, I'm saying, oh, this knocks me off kilter, I'm so surprised, but really I'm not. If you do look at the tail of the tape, there are usually two Trumps at play. There's a front-facing Trump that is like all gas, no brakes. It's the MAGA you expect. He says the crazy, wild fucking thing. But then behind the scenes, there's that Trump that talked all that shit about lock her up, Hillary Clinton. But if he was in the same room with her, he could talk to her. He could yap at her. He could say the same and carry on with Bill Clinton, a guy who he's saying investigate. He was with Epstein. It's like, motherfucker, you both were. You both were hanging out doing the same shit. He can be friends with everybody. He has always been this kind of dude. He has a certain kind of charisma that works well with celebrity, with politicians. He's just kind of kept glomming and greasing and doing all this shit. And it's got him to where he's gotten. So I'm not surprised to really see him be able to work with him. I think what does surprise me is the timing and being like, hey, I'm going to do the about face now. I'm going to show this version of myself. And I mean, I don't think it's going to stick for very long. I think the second that, Mamdani does something that, is deemed like, oh, Trump shouldn't like this, Trump won't like this, and he'll probably be like, yeah, no, this is communist, this is radical, and we'll see how that goes from there. But definitely an interesting development. The first the meeting was a meet cute. So did they smooch? Anyway, that's all I have for today. That is the episode for tonight. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/ZanNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up at zannews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me on the podcast, me or the podcast on any of the socials. Follow on or subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. 5 stars are appreciated on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But if you don't do that, that's okay. I really just appreciate you. Let me hang out with you. Let me yap at you. Let me just talk about the news, to the best of my ability. It's always a pleasure. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.